most common example of a lease breach is where there's a non-payment by the tenant of either ground rent or service charges. Other examples could relate to how the flat's being used. So that the terms of the lease could restrict the tenant from renting the flat out. So there'll be a restriction on subletting. If the tenant is in breach of that restriction, there's a breach of lease. It's actionable. The landlord can force the tenant to remove their assured short-hold tenant. Other examples, another common example would be the tenants remove the carpets, and there's a requirement in the lease to keep the hard floorings carpeted. Other examples are where perhaps the tenants carried out alterations to the flat, structural alterations which require a license from the landlord, so advanced consent essentially, and the tenant hasn't obtained that consent, and there's no obligation on the landlord to grant that consent retrospectively, so they'll bring an action for breach of lease. Causing nuisance to your neighbours could potentially be a breach of lease. There's so many things. The terms of your lease will dictate how you should use your flat, and if you're not adhering to the terms of your lease, then you would invariably be in breach. If you have any questions in relation to leasehold matters, please contact the Anthony Gold Leasehold Services team.